embraced him with my lips, savoring each moment, playfully. His fingers wove through my hair as I shifted, my tongue and lips dancing in harmony, my hands cradling him with a gentle yet resolute touch. He let out a low, drawn-out sound of discomfort. "Allow me to introduce myself. I am Emily. I was merely a housekeeper, until that fateful night. At 25 years old, I find myself single and immersed in the vibrant life of a live-in nanny for a lovely family in Miami." Julia, the mother, embodies sweetness and kindness, perhaps to an excessive degree. She embraced me as if I were her younger sister. Ethan, her husband, was a figure of his own kind. Lofty, expansive shoulders, hair of salt and pepper hues. His voice, rich and resonant, sent shivers down my spine, rendering my legs weak each time he uttered my name. Ethan possessed a charm that transcended mere handsomeness. He possessed immense power, a man who entered a room and cast a shadow over all, leaving others feeling diminished in his presence. In those fleeting moments when his gaze lingered on me, just a heartbeat longer than necessary, and dipped ever so slightly, I sensed that I was not alone in experiencing that tantalizing danger. The tale began on the evening Julia embarked on her week-long business journey. Silence enveloped the house, a chill settling in the air. Responsibility was expected of me, yet all I felt was a surge within, a fierce and untamed heat. The night enveloped me in a restless embrace, denying me the solace of sleep. I tossed and turned, enveloped in that delicate robe I had never summoned the courage to don before. My room lay just across the hall from his, and with each passing minute, my heart raced ever more fervently. Was it wild? It seems likely, yet, indifference had settled within me. I found myself in need of him. With careful steps, I glided down the hallway. The dwelling lay shrouded in darkness, enveloped in an eerie silence. The only sound that pierced the stillness was the gentle hum of the fridge downstairs. I found myself poised before his door. My fingers quivered with uncertainty. My breath was momentarily suspended. My nipples pressed against the silk, the fabric teasingly caressing them as I raised my hand. Then, I rapped upon the door. Only a single time, gently. I found myself wishing he might remain oblivious. Yet he did. The door groaned as it swung ajar, revealing him in the threshold, without a shirt, with eyes heavy with slumber. Truly awe-inspiring. "Emily," he murmured, his voice deep and gravelly. "Is all well?" I took a deep breath. Heat flooded my cheeks. My thighs were pressed together. I found myself unable to drift into slumber. I murmured softly, "May I enter?" He paused, uncertainty flickering in his mind. His gaze fell to my robe, my exposed legs, the gentle arc of my hip. His jaw tightened, yet he moved aside. As I stepped inside, the air was infused with his essence, a blend of wood, spice, and an indefinable hint of masculinity. He gently shut the door as I stepped away. "What's the matter?" he inquired. I pivoted to meet his gaze. My heart raced with fervor. "I'm unsure how to express this," I murmured gently. "Yet, you had occupied my thoughts for weeks on end." His gaze deepened into shadows. He advanced deliberately, each step measured and unhurried as he approached me. "Emily, you must realize that this is not right." "I understand," I murmured, "yet, it holds no significance for me." He was now mere inches away. The warmth radiated from his form, enveloping me in a palpable embrace. His chest rose and fell in a languid rhythm. His gaze fell from my lips, trailing downward with a palpable intensity. "Are you interested in this?" he inquired, his voice scarcely rising above a whisper. "Indeed." He pressed his lips against mine, with a firm hand, not at a leisurely pace. It was ablaze. An unrefined, profound yearning flowed from his lips into mine. His hands encircled my waist, drawing me closer, and I inhaled sharply as I sensed his desire pressing through the fabric of his shorts. I sighed softly against his lips, my fingers pressing into his back as he effortlessly lifted me and carried me to the bed. The fabric of the robe parted as I reclined, and his gaze traversed every contour of my form. He pressed his lips against my neck, then my chest, and further still, his mouth igniting a trail of heat as his hands roamed over every inch of me I had longed for him to caress. Thoughts had ceased to occupy my mind. I felt no concern for Julia, nor did I ponder the notions of right or wrong. At last, I was savoring the essence of what I had long desired. He bestowed it upon me. Throughout the entire night, again and again, he stirred emotions within me that were entirely new and unfamiliar. His touch lingered, his whispers danced in my ear, and the way he held me afterward transcended the boundaries of a mere night. It was a threshold crossed, one that neither of us could ever seal shut again. As dawn broke, I found myself in his bed, ensnared in the soft embrace of his sheets, his arms securely encircling me. It was on that fateful night that everything commenced. Yet, it would not end there. We were unable to halt our progress. We extend our heartfelt gratitude to all our wonderful subscribers of Man Story. Your presence inspires us to weave these profound, heartfelt, and passionate tales. If this is your first visit, be sure to subscribe and become part of our expanding community. There is an abundance of insights and stories waiting to be unveiled for you. As I stirred from slumber, I found my head resting gently on his chest, feeling the tender rhythm of his breath beneath me. The sheets entwined themselves around our legs. The robe lay discarded upon the floor. He kept his arm around me, as if reluctant to release his hold. For a fleeting instant, I shut my eyes and imagined I belonged to him, as if I were meant to be there, nestled in his embrace, resting in his bed, woven into the fabric of his life. Yet, the truth slipped in, a cold breeze that sent shivers down the spine. This was the spouse of Julia, my superior, a man I was never meant to lay my hands on, much less savor in the way I did last night. Yet, I found no room for regret. Not in the slightest. His hand glided gently along my back. "Are you all right?" he inquired with that rich, languid tone that sent a delightful shiver through my core. I gazed up at him, my lip caught between my teeth. Superior to merely satisfactory, he offered a smile. Oh, that smile. It caused my heart to flutter. "I didn't expect that," he said, gently brushing a strand of hair from my cheek. "Your presence took me by surprise." I turned over, positioning myself softly atop him, the fabric of the sheet slipping down to my waist. I leaned in and kissed him once more, this time with a gentler touch, savoring the lips that had left me undone the night prior. "I'm not finished with you," I murmured, my fingers gliding down his chest. He let out a soft groan, his eyes deepening with shadow once more. "You possess an alluring danger." "No," I murmured softly as I descended the bed, pressing my lips against his stomach. Then trailing lower, "I belong to you." He propped himself up a bit, yet I gently urged him back down, a smile playing on my lips. He was aware of my intentions, yet he chose not to intervene. My desire was to bring him joy. I longed for him to carry my memory with him, lingering in his thoughts each time he shut his eyes. I embraced him with my lips, savoring each moment, playfully. His fingers wove through my hair as I shifted, my tongue and lips dancing in harmony, my hands cradling him with a gentle yet resolute touch. He let out a low, drawn-out sound of discomfort, an intense, unrefined resonance that conveyed all the truths I sought. "Emily," he inhaled sharply. "Oh, the sensation you bring is simply exquisite." I pressed on without hesitation. I offered him my all. A slow, deep, wet, and intense experience. I yearned for him to surrender to chaos. And he indeed did. His body grew taut. With a deep, resonant groan, he clutched the sheets tightly, his fingers digging into the fabric. I consumed it all, my gaze fixed upon him throughout. And as I returned to rest beside him, he drew me near and murmured words that will forever echo in my memory. "No one, absolutely no one, has ever evoked such feelings within me." I blinked, momentarily caught off guard. "Not even your spouse?" He paused before responding. He turned his gaze toward me, a blend of seriousness and vulnerability etched across his face. "It has been quite some time since Julia and I shared a close bond. She is occupied, perpetually weary. Our kisses have become a rare occurrence." I pressed my teeth into my lip. I had no desire to feel pity for him. Desire to remain untouched by emotion slipped through my fingers. Yet the moment had already passed. "She's fortunate," I murmured. "No," he said, his thumb gliding softly across my lips. "I consider myself fortunate." We lingered in bed for hours, wrapped in the warmth of our shared cocoon, engaging in conversation, embracing the tender act of kissing, moving, engaging in passionate embraces repeatedly, as if striving to compensate for all the solitary nights we had endured together. Yet, the morning light gradually seeped through the curtains, and with it arrived the weight of remorse. I quietly slipped from his bed and returned to my room, just in time to avoid the stirrings of the waking children. I found myself before the mirror, gazing intently at my reflection, taking in the fullness of my lips, the crimson imprints on my neck, and the radiant flush on my cheeks. I appeared as though I were an entirely different woman, a woman who had traversed a boundary that was now irrevocably crossed. But what's truly wild, I felt the urge to traverse it once more. On that day, we endeavored to maintain an air of normalcy. The morning unfolds with breakfast, followed by the school drop-off, and then the task of cleaning the house awaits. Yet the glances exchanged between us ignited with an intense flame. In the kitchen, he glided by me, his voice a soft murmur. "You're all I've been thinking about." In the laundry room, he pressed his lips to mine against the door, a secret moment when no one else was watching. As the evening unfolded, restraint slipped through our fingers. As dinner approached, I found myself once again in his room, where he effortlessly drew me onto his lap, as if I were meant to be there. During that week of Julia's absence, we found ourselves irresistibly drawn to one another. Our escapade unfolded in the shower, upon the couch in the living room, within the confines of his office, late one night, beneath the stars, by the pool. It transcended mere physicality. It was fervor, desire, craving. Each kiss delved deeper. Each caress grows increasingly fervent. We danced with danger, fully aware of the risks we were taking. Yet, we found ourselves unable to halt. We were reluctant to bring it to an end. Once more, I found myself enveloped in his embrace that evening. His powerful hands clasped my waist as he entered me gradually, profoundly, as if he sought to etch the sensation of me into his memory. Our bodies intertwined in a seamless dance, slick with sweat and ensnared in the sheets. Each moan that slipped from my lips was consumed by his mouth. Every gasp met with a thrust that transported me beyond my surroundings. It had transcended mere desire. It exuded a sense of peril. It felt as though I was destined to be in his bed. As if my place had always been here, rather than merely as the nanny. "Emily," he murmured, his voice heavy with longing. "Your actions are pushing me to the brink of madness." I smiled in the shadows, continuing to ride him slowly, clinging to the tension that surged between us like an impending storm. "Good," I murmured softly into his ear. "I desire to bring about your downfall." Indeed, I did. Evening after evening, we were wild, yearning, and utterly consumed. Yet, the intriguing aspect of toying with flames? It has an uncanny ability to sear your very soul. It transpired on a Thursday. In the kitchen, clad in a loose tank top with nothing beneath, I found myself humming softly as I prepared the kids' lunchboxes. He pressed his lips to mine by the fridge, his breath warm against my ear as he murmured his desire for me in his office after the kids were gone. A smile spread across my face, my body yearning for his touch. At that moment, the front door swung open, and all was reduced to fragments. "Greetings," Julia's voice echoed through the corridor. I stood still, caught in a moment of sheer disbelief. He did as well. Her return was anticipated on Saturday. Yet, there she appeared, entering with her suitcase in tow and a weary smile, as if she hadn't just returned prematurely from a business trip that was safeguarding our secret. "Oh my goodness," she exclaimed, spreading her arms wide for the children. "My heart has ached for each of you in your absence." I spun quickly, attempting to conceal my visage, my heart racing wildly. He moved closer, wrapping his arms around her in a clumsy embrace, before pressing a gentle kiss to her cheek. "You're back early," he remarked, attempting to maintain an air of nonchalance. Indeed, the previous 2 meetings were called off. I thought it would be delightful to catch everyone off guard. She pivoted in my direction. "Emily, I truly appreciate all that you did for me during my absence." I inclined my head, mustering a smile. "Certainly. It is invariably a delight." Yet within, a tempest of screams raged. There was hardly a moment to spare for washing the sheets. That afternoon, an unsettling air hung over everything. He scarcely cast a glance in my direction. She lingered near him, encircling him with her arms, her laughter ringing out joyfully as if she were asserting her rightful place once more. I experienced a profound sense of invisibility, neglected, yet, as the night deepened and silence enveloped the house, a gentle knock echoed softly against my door. It was indeed him. With deliberate care, I eased it open. He lingered in sweatpants and a snug shirt, his eyes brimming with guilt and an insatiable hunger. She pressed her lips to mine. He recounted. It filled me with disdain. I remained silent. I swiftly drew him inside and secured the door behind us. He brought me to that very spot, my back pressed against the wall. Swift, unrefined, quiet, his hand pressed against my mouth as he plunged deep within me. Again and again, until I unraveled in his embrace, my fingers digging into his back. I missed you, he groaned into my neck. Your lips, your touch, your words have occupied my thoughts. All things. I sank to my knees once more, enveloping him in my mouth as I had done during that initial encounter. He reclined against the wall, a low groan escaping his lips. His fingers entwined in my hair. Emily, OFK, he breathed out in astonishment. Your presence surpasses all that I have ever experienced. No one has ever treated me this way. His words drew me in, urging me to explore further, to linger, to tease him until he was on the brink of surrender. He arrived with a muffled groan, attempting to remain silent, yet I was certain she would catch a sound if she were awake. In the aftermath, his kiss lingered on my lips, a gesture that spoke of indifference. Yet, I invested too deeply. I ought to have put an end to it. I ought to have turned away that night when he entered my room and kissed me as if I were the very air sustaining him. Yet, I refrained. I welcomed him once more into my being, within the depths of my heart, and further into the depths of my being. We embraced each other with a fervor that spoke of desperation and longing. His lips brushed against my skin. My legs encircled his waist, my sighs lost within the warmth of his embrace. In the aftermath, we found ourselves enveloped in a profound silence, merely attuning to the rhythm of one another's breaths. I'm succumbing to my feelings for you, he murmured softly, yet, I find myself at a loss for how to bring this to a halt. In the depths of darkness, I found myself at a loss for words, my eyes fluttering in uncertainty. Yet, I experienced it as well. Perhaps that is what led us to become careless. For it was on the following day that everything unraveled. A phone lay abandoned on the kitchen counter, marking the beginning of an unexpected tale. The device he carries. He found himself upstairs, surrounded by the laughter and energy of the kids. As I stood at the sink, my hands submerged in warm, soapy water, I found myself washing the dishes. Julia, his wife, was meant to be enjoying a leisurely brunch with her friend. Yet she returned sooner than expected. Initially, her voice eluded my ears. She entered with a hushed grace. The soft click of her heels echoed on the hardwood floors. She hesitated, her gaze drawn to the phone vibrating on the counter. With a sense of intrigue, she lifted it from its resting place. I pivoted at the last moment, catching a glimpse of her face draining of color. She immersed herself in the words of a message, a note addressed to me. Last night was a tapestry of unforgettable moments. Your flavor lingers on my tongue. I desire more. Her fingers curled more firmly around the phone. Her gaze gradually shifted in my direction. Stillness. Subsequently, what on earth is this? I stood still, the plate I held slipping from my grasp and crashing into the sink. Fragments scattering everywhere. I am Julia. Yet, she was already ascending the stairs. Phone clutched tightly, fury etched across her features. I trailed behind her, a surge of anxiety coursing through me, my heart racing wildly within my chest. She stormed into their bedroom, finding him assisting the children with their clothes. Have you been involved with the nanny? He pivoted, bewildered. Hold on, Julia. With a swift motion, she hurled the phone in his direction. Do not even think about deceiving me. The children gazed, a mixture of bewilderment and fear etched across their faces. Leave, she commanded, her finger directed firmly at me. Julia, leave my home. I retreated, shaking, filled with shame, and utterly shattered. In a mere 10 minutes, I swiftly packed my bags. He attempted to pursue me as I exited, attempted to articulate, Yet she positioned herself between us like a tempest, guarding the remnants of her dignity and her kin. And I stepped outside. In an instant, the affair had come to an end. Yet, what of the damage? The task was completed. Time slipped away, weeks unfurling like pages in a book. I discovered a cozy little apartment and secured a part-time job in another place. I maintained a low profile. I endeavored to erase the memory of how he stirred my emotions. His touch enveloped me, making me feel as though I were the sole woman in existence. On a quiet night, my phone vibrated softly. It was indeed him. She has departed, accompanied the children, initiated divorce proceedings. All that remains is the echo of your presence. As everything else has slipped away, my gaze lingered on the screen. Time slipping away unnoticed. Emotion surged, and tears brimmed at the corners of my eyes. I felt compelled to respond. I wished to express how much I missed him, that he continued to inhabit my dreams. I could still sense his presence within me. Yet, I refrained. I switched off my phone and nestled into the warmth of my bed. For certain love stories are destined to be brief, tantalizing, and etched in memory, similar to ours.